Hey guys, Kuzma here, back in the video. In this video today, I'm going to be doing a redraw of an old Goku piece I did when I was 10 years old. Since then, I've done numerous commission works for various clients. In the past few years, I've been published with 2 manga companies, creating a body of work between the 2 companies that accumulate to over 462 manga pages. It's been one heck of a journey since that Goku drawing I did when I was 10. And I feel like this past year and a half have been the most important years thus far in my journey. Since I'm primarily a manga artist and the biggest portion of my body of work is manga, I wanted to go with a more of a manga approach to this illustration. The last drawing that I drew and inked of Goku traditionally was about 5 years ago. And if I may say so myself, that drawing was horrible. And I've improved a lot since 5 years ago as well. But I know it's much more fun to redraw something from when you were even younger than just 5 years ago. Also, the only drawings that I have from when I was 9, 10, 11, they're all Dragon Ball Z. There's nothing else in there. And when I started to hit, 14, 15, that's when I started getting into Naruto a lot. So my style started taking a huge change within that period of time. But Dragon Ball Z was definitely my original inspiration for getting into drawing anime and manga. And just like many others I've heard in their stories, when they first started watching this stuff, they didn't know it was something called anime. They just knew they liked it. And that was the case for me. I really liked Dragon Ball Z, and that was pretty much the only thing I watched. And I hated turning on the TV and only seeing Barney, because I didn't have a typical cable. I only had the channels that were available through antennas back then, which were very limited and didn't have very much variety to them. So the only time I really got to watch Dragon Ball Z was when I was over at my grandparents' house where they had cable. And that's kind of how I found out about Dragon Ball Z. And since I didn't have any of the manga and I didn't even know what manga was back then, the only way I really got to look at the characters and draw them was through some magazines my friend had, and I only had one of them that he gave to me, so I always drew the characters from that. But like I said, I didn't know the difference between American cartoons and, anime, and difference between that and Dragon Ball Z, and, all I knew was I really liked the story, the characters, and just the life that anime really brought to this series. I mean, of course, like I said, I didn't know it was anime, but this is the only thing I was really obsessed with back then. All I knew was I wanted to draw whatever this stuff was. And, back then, you don't really think of a career or anything. You're just drawing it for fun because you think they're cool. You think it's cool. You're like, yes, this is awesome. Of course, when I was younger, I heard about, Pokemon, and I actually watched some Digimon, but I never actually got into Pokemon as much because, money issues. I just didn't know what the series was. I didn't have the cards. Some of my friends had the cards. I just didn't know about any of that stuff enough for me to really get into it. And just in case you're wondering about the games and stuff, because I know a big part of Pokemon was the games back then and even now, no, I did not have any sort of console or handheld game for a long time when I was young. I primarily just focused on the characters, and I liked drawing them and trying to bring them to life. Of course, as you saw from the drawing I did, I didn't really bring them to life that well. It was it was more of a massacre. Sitting there drawing Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that, and Goku and Trunks and Vegeta, that's some of my most fond memories from when I was younger. I remember the first time I found out what manga was, and I was given what back then I thought a manga was. Someone gave me mangohwa. I think it's the Korean version of manga, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I was given a manga called Ragnarok, and I don't even think I read it. I just looked through it. That, and then one of my friends from when I moved, not the same friend that I got the magazine from, but this other guy, had a bunch of Love Hina volumes, and I wasn't a big fan of that style when I was younger, because I was into the more shonen style with, Goku personality and stuff like that. Of course, I didn't know it was called shonen. But to fast forward, when I actually found out what anime and manga really was when I started getting into Naruto. There's actually a huge story of my life in between Dragon Ball Z and finding out about Naruto that one day I might tell, but it all led to me wanting to become a manga artist. The point when I started reading the manga volumes for Naruto is when I really understood that I wanted to become a manga artist. And really, I feel like it's all thanks to Kishimoto, because in between his chapters in the manga volumes, he would always do this thing where he would talk about his life leading up to him becoming a mangaka. I forgot exactly what he called the series in between the chapters, but I loved reading them almost as much as I loved reading the actual volumes. When I realized that, you know, all this stuff that I liked so much when I was young, like Dragon Ball Z outnumbered anything else I liked by, you know, 9,000. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it outnumbered anything else I liked by such a drastic margin. And then Naruto took the spot of Dragon Ball Z back then because there's just a bunch of reruns going on. And then Kishimoto's little series talking about his life becoming a mangaka, that's when I realized I wanted to become a mangaka. That's what I wanted to become. That was around the age of 16. I had been drawing the whole time since then. There was a 2-year gap where I did not draw. I hardly drew at all. I still drew, but I didn't draw as much. And that gap was between like 13 and a half years old to around the end of 16 years old. So at about 16, 17 is when I realized I actually wanted to draw, you know, anime and manga for a living. But I didn't know the complete difference between being, you know, an animator and being a manga artist, because I didn't know the system that well until, you know, I was reading more of Kishimoto's stuff, and I was able to piece together the understanding that you could get an anime from doing manga, and animes typically back then came from manga. But yeah, that's a short story to how I decided I really wanted to become a manga artist. And talk a little bit about the illustration. Like I said, I wanted to go more manga-like with this, so I'm just doing black and white inking. And I know a bunch of you guys are going to ask me what tools I'm using here, so I'll just name them off real quick. Right now I'm using a Pentel brush pen. The pencil I use to draw it out is the pencil I like to always use now, is just the Disposables 0.7 Bic pencils. And a big portion of this with the disposable Copic multi-liners, the 0.8. And this is the Sakura Micron 0.5. Then the only other thing I used was a Sharpie and also a ruler for the pole in the back. Other than that, yeah, I didn't really use anything else. And then paper isn't anything specific, it's just smooth paper that was from a sketchbook that I like, that I tear out, and that's going to be the paper I'm using for most of these videos, because I tore it all out of that sketchbook because I like the way it felt. But in general, I don't really use any specific paper. I just like using smooth paper because it feels really nice on the pencil and it feels nice while inking too. But I hope you guys like the route I took with the audio on this, giving you guys a little Cliff Notes version of my journey thus far. But if you guys want to help support this channel, help support my arts, you guys can check me out on my Patreon, link in the description. But I'd like to take this time to thank my current Patreon, Ashley Elizabeth, Woody Ellis, Heke Pelage, Wear My Crown, Daniel Hillier, Yulia Namikaze, Poetical Gore, Noah Henderson, Mercuzio, JT, Satoshi, Kaneen Morel, Alpha Dog Studios, JG, Aaron McQuiston, This Guy Sowell, Carlos Mario Lopez, Mark Locke, Brian B. Kim, Adrian Menezes, Parthana, Reggie, Ryan T. McFadden, and Thomas. You guys are the best pencil nobodies there are and help me be able to do what I do on this channel. I had a lot of fun doing this redraw illustration, and definitely want to do another one of these for you guys sometime, doing a fully finished illustration, showing, you know, ink color and all that good stuff for you guys. That would be really fun. It was really cool seeing the difference between the two illustrations when I was done. Obviously there's going to be a difference since I was 10 when I drew that, but it was really fun seeing it. But I don't know, let me know if you guys think I improved. Maybe I didn't. No, just kidding. In any case, if you guys like this video, please hit that thumbs up button. And if you're new to this channel, like what you see, please subscribe. Hit the bell icon to get notified when each video comes out. And like always, guys, hope you're having a great day. And I'll see you guys in the next video.